Hi everybody, welcome to beautiful Bainbridge Island. You wouldn't know it, but it's a beautiful, warm, sunny spring day outside. But we are here inside Bainbridge Performing Arts, inside the Buxton Center for the Performing Arts, for our latest episode of Get to Know a Theater. I'm joined today by Elizabeth Allum, Deirdre Hadlock, and Matt Longmire, all part of the BPA staff here. I'm Greg Hyman with the Sound on Stage. I probably forgot to mention that in case you don't know who I am by now. Elizabeth is BPA's executive director, Deirdre is the theater's production manager, and Matt is its communications and development coordinator. So first off, welcome to the show, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So first of all, BPA is a pretty significant sized organization as far as staff goes. So if you guys don't mind, let's go around the horn and explain to me what each of you do within this organization. I guess Elizabeth, we'll start with you.
So executive director, I actually started my journey with BPA as director of education. So I've kind of transitioned into this role about a year and a half ago. It's kind of hard to describe in a succinct way what my role entails. One way I sometimes use to describe it is sort of everybody else here is like a rock, and I have to sort of be the water that flows between all of the rocks.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, I'm trying. So that's what I do. I'm the water.
Okay, and you also give all of the, as far as all the shows I've been to here, all the pre-show speeches.
Yeah, that's a fun aspect.
You almost become the face of the organization in that regard.
Yeah, but I mean, there are many, many faces.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to you, Matt.
I'm Matt Longmire, and I have a super long title. It's the Communications and Development Coordinator, which started because I came on 5 years ago to help work on the capital campaign to renovate the building, sort of organizing all the little bits and pieces to make that happen. And then about a year in, I took over marketing as well. And so now that's primarily what I do is market the shows, sell tickets, and lots of little things. So yeah, it's a big mix of stuff.
Okay, and Deirdre, you've been here the longest out of this group. 22 years?
23 years
23
this
years.
spring, yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Went like that.
So in your role as production manager, what does that entail?
Mostly entails producing our main stage shows. So once we program the shows, we put together our teams and then sort of guide the show through the audition process and rehearsal process and into production.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So how many people are on staff, I guess, full-time, and then how many, I guess, I imagine you have part-time people, and then there's probably a ton of volunteers.
It's approximately a full-time equivalent of about 9 staff.
Okay.
So considering the scale of the operation, it's actually a fairly lean team of people. A lot of the work that happens here is, testament to the spirit of volunteerism. Mm-hmm. We are a community theatre at our core, and that's how we run.
Very cool. Well, going back, so I guess what is now Bainbridge Performing Arts dates back to 1956, and Deirdre, we were talking before about you've been, 23 years. I guess we don't have to go all the way back to the beginning, but
I mean, I wasn't there at the very
but from the time you started here, I mean, how has it evolved from a vision perspective, and then obviously with the remodel that you mentioned, Matt, I definitely want to talk about that because that's a pretty significant piece of the history of the recent history of BPA and where it's going from here. But first, how has it evolved since you started here?
I feel like our productions have evolved technically. I feel like our pool of people that we work with has grown, and it, included more friends from Seattle, more people from Kitsap. Sort of our pool has enlarged. There is a lot of continuity with the spirit of BPA. I feel like it's really gone through the decades that I've been here, and is consistently with every season it's there.
It's actually the first place when we moved here, I guess 11 years ago in August, and BPA was the first place I came to see any show. We saw Little Shop here, and my memory was the motorcycle driving across the stage and
Yes.
filling the theater up
Yes.
with exhaust and
Yeah.
all of that. But it was memorable for more than just that.
My husband, who was not my husband at the time, actually bought that motorcycle to use in the production and then
Oh.
sold it.
So really,
I thought you were going to say he bought it from the show.
No,
Right.
bought it for the show.
very cool. So well, let's talk about the remodel. So was that something that was in the works before COVID, that it happened to just kind of coincide and you took advantage of the downtime to be able to kind of expedite it? I mean, how did that all, the timing all work on that? I mean, I know because I also want to talk about everything that was added, because it's a significant amount of money that it cost and a good amount of money that you raised to put it all together. So how did that, I guess, start and how did that coincide with the shutdown and all that, I guess? Matt,
Yeah,
people are
yeah,
saying,
Well, no, it's funny because that's why I came on, and then 2 weeks later we shut down for COVID. The original building was made in '92, and it needed some help, really needed some love and some upgrades. And the plan had been there since for a long time, but since the passing of Frank Buxton, he left a very generous bequest specifically to kickstart the idea of what would become the Buxton Center for Bainbridge Performing Arts. And so that had been in the works for about 2 or 3 years, even longer as an idea, but realistically for about a year before COVID. And then when COVID showed up, and we had a show opening that weekend and said it's not safe to bring people in. And Dominique Cantwell, the executive director at the time, said we just can't, we have to close. Sure enough, that was definitely the right call. But what it meant was we had to really ask ourselves, we were just about to kick off a capital campaign. Is a pandemic the time to kick off a capital campaign? And we really wrestled with that, and a lot of hours talking over Zoom, which a lot of our campaign team were getting used to at the time. And the consensus among the community, because we did a lot of outreach and surveys to find out, should we continue? And the consensus was, yes, please. Yes, this is a light for us, a shining moment in a dark time. Please don't let this step aside. And so we, with the community in mind, we kept moving forward. We didn't see it as we're going to take advantage of this time, but I will say there were elements of COVID, like people wanted to be involved in the brainstorming and the design, and it gave people something to really invest in. It was really beautiful, and it took a while, it took a couple of years, but we did raise $18 million to renovate the space, and it shows. And the thing that, throughout the campaign, we were thinking, this will be this amazing place people want to go, and it was this idea. But then we opened the doors, and it really, truly was. And I still, every single day, I just look at the responses of people coming in, and it's like, you wouldn't think you would get this from remodeling a building, but that's really what happened. Remodeling the building changed the people who learned about us, the people who come to shows, the kinds of shows we can do, the technical elements, the casts and the artistic team that will come out for it. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's been game changer, and I don't even think to the extent that we thought it would be during the campaign, but yeah, it's pretty expansive.
Yeah. Well, you go back to the COVID piece, and I think what it probably did was gave people some hope that there would be something at the end of it all, because we had no idea. Yeah. I mean, and that's why, what we had started that eventually became the Sound on Stage, we started during COVID because there was no theater, it was a big vacuum.
Right.
So I think that's probably it's a good thing that you did that during that time, because then there was something that we knew we'd be coming back to. And but what, when you do come in, it's from an infrastructure perspective and a functional and facilities perspective. It seems like it's kind of a state of the art as far as anything on the peninsula here, and it's also on the bleeding edge as far as anything you're going to see on the Seattle side as well. And it gives you the opportunity, like you said, to do so much more. So can you talk a little bit about some of the things that were added that people might not see? I mean, there's seats, and there's the beautiful lobby outside, and the Sears studio and all of that. But what can't people see that allows you that flexibility and the ability to put up different sorts of shows?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about accessibility?
No. Well, yeah. I think one of the it is visible, and some aspects of it aren't as visible to the public. But accessibility is one of the enormous considerations in the redevelopment, not just for patrons, but for artists as well. So the band loft is fully accessible, all of the backstage areas. That was a real point of intentionality with all of the remodel. And yeah, the backstage area has been significantly improved. And we've recently completed an extension of our scenic workshop, which is another really exciting piece of the Buxton Center puzzle, which is going to enable us to go even further with our scenic dreams, and also open up that space as an opportunity for young students to get their hands sawdusty.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Give students the ability to learn more than just the on-stage stuff.
Exactly, and that's one of the wonderful things about theatre, in and of itself. There's so many spaces to find yourself in a theatre, not just on stage, not just in the spotlight. Places backstage. All of there's so many elements to the craft that appeal to different types of people.
One thing I was impressed with, you have a sensory space.
Yes.
Right? So tell me a little bit about that. I guess that's up in the corner
that
up there.
I got a picture there.
So people, I guess autistic folks and things that have people have issues with sound and things like that want a quiet space to enjoy the show.
Exactly.
That's where they can go.
Anyone who requires, for any reason, an adapted experience of viewing a performance. It's specifically not in a separate space to the auditorium. It's tangential, and you can view the performance either through a glass wall or on a screen, and you can adapt the volume, the lights, the temperature. It's completely adaptable.
You can move. There's a big puffball you can sit on, or you can sit in nice chairs. And the window specifically is to make it connected to the space. But if for any reason that's overwhelming, there's a monitor you can choose. But the window is so that we do have the ability to turn the sound down. So when it's too loud, sound is controllable, lighting is, everything is controllable in your space, and it works for really anybody. It's sensory, but it could be, oh my gosh, we've had it for new parents, we've had it for all kinds of different reasons, and it's just wonderful because you think it's just a room, but when they come out and they feel included, they feel like they actually got to come be part of the show and not feel overwhelmed or feel, it's great. Yeah,
that's what I love about this remodel is that there's things that we'd have never even thought about that you guys have thought about and have put in here.
Yeah. They're going to hear me be redundant for a second because I talk about this all the time. The big thing of the campaign was we had what I call the filter question, which was every single decision that was made was passed through the question of how does this improve the experience for patrons, for volunteers, for staff members, for anybody who walks through those doors. And every single thing was exactly that, is how do we improve the experience? And people with sensory needs, new parents, anything like that, that was the impetus of that work. So yeah, as you talk about, looking around, how does this improve the experience? And the other thing is, how does that improve the experience for the island? And one of the things you don't ever see is the environmental impact changes, like the solar panels on the roof, the brand new HVAC. Literally, the HVAC is baked into the seats. Your heating and cooling is brought right to you at your seat. And all of that from the ground up was with the goal of achieving LEED Gold certification, which you don't really see very often in theaters because we use a lot of power. And so we had to find ways to offset that. And we're on track and we're excited.
Excellent. But, kudos to all of you guys in the committee and whoever.
So many people.
Incredible kudos to the committee and also to the community.
Yes,
this was all made possible because of the generosity of this incredible community, and they got as excited about the vision as we did, as the committee did. It was it really is a collective dream.
Great. I want to switch over to programming. That's going to also segue into some of the other facilities that you have here. I always ask how theaters balance the need to fill seats and make money to be sustainable against putting up shows that are important or have a specific message that you want to put out there to people. And I'd like to know your take is on that. And I have a feeling it's going to involve your studio series and the Sears studio that's right outside just a little bit, because I'd like you to talk about that and the intention with that, in addition to, as a complement to the main stage shows that you guys have. So I'll let whoever wants to
Haven't forgotten.
address that.
First off, there's a lot of thought and a lot of intentionality and a lot of shared perspectives that go into our programming here. It is a really collaborative process. There's a programming committee that's made up of staff, board, and advisory. And throughout the process each year, we're encouraged to take into consideration the desires and the needs and the hopes of our community. So we really are programming, in a sort of community model for the community. The challenge of balancing artistic vision with operational sustainability is, a challenge faced by most arts organizations. And I think one of the things that we feel we're in a sort of perhaps unique position in that respect is that here on Bainbridge and in this region, there's actually quite a sophisticated appetite for creative programming that challenges and that sort of doesn't just serve up the standard community fare. One of the conversations that we had at our most recent programming discussions was we feel the biggest risk that we could take right now is to stop taking risks. Productions like Cabaret, for example, and the way that the studio series has been received really are strong indicators for us that there is this incredibly sophisticated appetite amongst our audiences to be challenged and to be presented with work that is unique and paradigm shifting.
Sure.
And that's such a wonderful,
It is a great
incredible
opportunity.
privilege to be cultural stewards in a community like that.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but it's also it's exciting.
Yeah, and that's the kind of, when we talk about when we do our awards, we talk about the theater experience. We talk about not just comfort of seats and amenities and things like that, but also risky programming to a certain extent and things, and important programming, and not just playing the hits and things like that.
And
I think that's important.
It absolutely is, and I think one of the promises that was made during the campaign was that we are building a brave space in so many ways, and I think at the heart of that is our programming.
You actually mentioned it really well in our pre-selection committee meeting about specifically not playing the hits.
Yes.
That's one of the factors.
We are fortunate in that our audiences and our artists really crave the risky, maybe the things that you don't see elsewhere, and so that gives us a responsibility to really go that direction.
Absolutely, and I think now in this moment in time, that kind of programming is important. Those kind of steps for especially community-facing organizations like us. It's important. Theatre has always been central in civic discourse. And I won't say too much, but that's very important right now for us to be taking that aspect of our role seriously. Yeah,
it's definitely a challenging time, and we talk about funding, and I'm sure that every theater, in the wake of things that are going on in the political atmosphere right now, are contemplating a lot of things. And of course, that makes sense. So I do want to talk about also, you have your in addition to the main stage shows and the new studio series, you also have educational programs. Can you tell me a little bit about those and some of the other things you have going on here?
We're almost like an umbrella organization in a way. There's so many different segments to what we do. There's the main stage, the studio series, which is the new aspect of our performance programming, theatre school, We have the Edge Improv, who perform every first Saturday,
Yep.
And have done for many, many years.
Yep.
The Bainbridge Symphony Orchestra, which are housed under our umbrella as well, which is an incredible community treasure. And then we have a lot of sort of community programming. You know, we host the annual Bainbridge Island Juneteenth community gathering, for example. So yeah, there's a lot of segments to what we do, and it makes up this beautiful kind of kaleidoscopic picture.
Like the hub of the arts at Bainbridge Island, really.
Yeah. And yeah, so you mentioned the education program. That is, I think that the piece of BPA that sort of stole my heart. Like I said, I started.
That's where you came from, right?
I started my journey with this organization as director of education, and it's we have the most wonderful student body of youth and adult students, and at the helm of the theatre school program. We're so lucky to have the most incredible, dedicated, visionary teaching artists. Really, it's a very special program, and it's a thing that really puts a lot of heart into this organization.
Yeah. So Deirdre, you mentioned a little bit ago about Seattle actors coming over. Have you noticed an increase in the amount of Seattle actors coming over for your shows?
Definitely. Over the last 20 years, we've definitely had an increase in Seattle actors joining us. I think the ferry ride has been demystified and is now a delightful experience. And I think we are somewhat unique in providing a professional level production experience in a community theater setting.
Yeah. I want to talk, and it's a good segue for what I want to talk about next is, and speaking of actors who have been both on the peninsula and in Seattle, when I came to see Outside Mullingar here as part of the studio series, the initial play in the studio series, with the Circle of Fire theater group with Molly Hall and Jason Gingold, and directed by Cindy Giese French. That was I remember looking at that and thinking, this is just a great opportunity because you've got the infrastructure here for smaller theater groups to come in and just utilize what you've built. They don't have to worry about the infrastructure. So if you could tell me a little bit about, I guess, how because you didn't start the studio series right away.
No.
So can you tell me about how the intention of that was, and maybe why you delayed it a little bit after you opened?
So the remodel, a huge piece of the remodel was the Cynthia Sears studio, and a part of that vision was that space would be used as a black box theatre. We gave ourselves a year of being able to get into the space, just learn the new ins and outs of the new facility before kind of really taking strides into that realm. And the studio series model is, it's an exciting piece of our programming for so many ways. One way being that we're able to offer these small, intimate productions that wouldn't make it onto our main stage because they're too small,
Sure.
or they wouldn't get enough butts on seats, or for whatever reason, we now have a space where it's appropriate. But it's a model that provides an opportunity for us to collaborate with other organizations or artists in the community. So we provide a lot of resources and support, sort of marketing, ticketing, production support, obviously space, performance space, rehearsal space. And then, we can sort of partner with organizations like Circle of Fire or BitLab or local artists who are sort of on their journey of development, to sort of provide them with the resources that they don't have access to, in order to sort of use our space to platform new work.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's places in Seattle that do that. 12th Avenue Arts, there's Theater Off Jackson. There's a number that I can list off, but there's nothing on this side of the water that's anything close to that. So it's a great service that you guys offer for these smaller theater groups and organizations to be able to do that.
And I'll add that we are right in the middle. Like it, probably by the time this is posted, we're actually posting the first round of putting on the site for people to submit proposals. So we're excited. We're constantly moving forward with it.
So programming, I do want to, before we get to that, I do want to talk about, because we haven't gotten through this year yet. So if you can see the set behind
Yes.
us here, Eurydice opens tomorrow night. So we're filming this on
Preview
the
night.
6th, preview
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
It opens tomorrow night on March 7th. Tell us a little bit about Eurydice, I guess. Deidre?
Oh,
Is that your,
sure. It's written by Sarah Ruhl, and it's a modern adaptation of the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, but very much centered on Eurydice's experience. It's directed by Christian Muir, who's on our staff, and it's a beautiful production. It's very different from what you might expect of Greek mythology or a classic play. It's sort of a modern take on it. The production itself has been just a joy to work on. It's really, the cast is incredible. It's a very small cast of 7 people. We've had a wonderful time in rehearsal, a very collaborative experience. The cast has brought a lot to the process, and our designers are top-notch, and I think it makes for a really, really unique experience.
Yeah,
A really
it's-
beautiful show.
Kristen's done an incredible job with leading this beautiful kind of space of collaboration, and we've had a really exciting opportunity to work with Andrew Jocelyn, who has composed an original score for the piece. It's beautiful, it's moving, it's going to be a really, really incredible production.
I can't.
Matt Longmire designed the projections for the show.
Very nice.
Very integral part
Yeah,
of
the
it.
projections and the lighting are really a character in and of themselves in this production. It's visually absolutely stunning.
So Eurydice is on stage, opening tomorrow at this point, March 7th, running through
23rd.
the 23rd.
Saturday the 23rd. Yep.
And then what do we have the rest of this season? If someone can...
We're going to a very, very, very different world
yeah.
after Eurydice, from kind of, collective consciousness, dreamscape mythology
We get
to
flooded in rain.
SpongeBob.
Wow.
We're doing SpongeBob the musical, which is going to be an absolute joy fest.
Yeah.
We've got the most incredible, enormous cast for that. It's going to be awesome. And then we're ending our season with a Scottish play up at Blodell.
Right. And that's another thing that you guys do every year
Yep.
is the Bard at Blodell,
Yes.
the annual Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blodell Reserve here on Bainbridge Island. And
Beautiful Blodell Reserve.
yes, it is. You bring your jackets though, because every year I go and it seems warm during the
Yeah.
day, and by the time it gets towards the
Once
second
the-
act,
yeah, the
it
sun goes
gets a
down.
little bit chilly. So last thing I want to talk to you guys about, and I don't know anything about this, but have you guys announced your 25-26 season yet? You have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I am behind the 8 ball on this. So, what can we look forward to next year? And then have you? Is it just the main stage shows? Have you announced?
Just the main stage
Okay.
shows. Yeah, we're still.
We did announce the symphony season, but the symphony season runs sort of concurrent, like alternating with the main stage.
Okay.
shows. But in this realm, talking about the main
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
So we're opening with the play that goes wrong,
Oh, okay.
which we're fanatically excited about.
Yes.
And that's a bold move, opening on a non-musical.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But we feel, that has it's a piece that has such huge energy.
Oh yeah.
So that was an easy choice. The winter show is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The spring play is a really exciting collaboration with Seattle's Book It Repertory Theatre of the Highest Tide.
Okay.
So they're kind of on.
And book is kind of resurrected.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And so we're really pleased to be sort of part of that journey of resurrection. And The Highest Tide is a beautiful piece. It's set in the Puget Sound area, so really speaks to the local kind of thematics. The spring musical is Green Day's American Idiot.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then we are wrapping up the season up at Blodell with 12th Night.
Nice. Nice. Hunchback is the one that I've got my eye on. I love that. I mean, that more than the movie because it's darker. It's closer to the book. It's same composer Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz.
Music,
but the-
beautiful music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. So next season, and that's opens in October.
Yep.
October. Very cool. All right. So I think that's it. Is there anything else that you want the viewers out there to know? I mean, how can people support the theater? I mean, obviously coming to shows. If they want to volunteer, can they do that on the website?
Yep.
Can they,
Absolutely.
okay.
Audition. Come audition.
And BainbridgePerformingArts.org.
Yep.
Okay, and if they want to donate money, time, anything, all out at the website.
All on the website. Yep.
Okay.
Or reach out. Come and
It's
make
very
friends.
much a community-centric thing. So, yeah, we kind of think of it like the BPA family. Like once you're in, you're part of the family, and it's great.
I do need you guys to explain the hot dog sign behind the wall. I come here every time, and I keep wanting to ask you, Matt, what is the hot dog?
So
Sign.
you're not the only one who wants to ask. Deirdre gets asked so often. I made a slide for it on the displays in the lobby. So the hot dog sign, there were lots of pieces of the remodel that donors could give a large enough donation to name a certain thing. Well, Frank Buxton, one of his favorite projects and his passion was a show he worked on called The Hot Dog Show, basically. And his family came together to name the stage in honor of Frank's passion. And so it was sort of this sharing of passion and wanting to honor something that was really important to Frank. And so, that's the logo from his show. And it's very sweet.
That means it's the hot dog stage.
It is the hot dog stage.
That is awesome. That is the best name for a stage that I've heard.
Yep. It is officially the hot dog stage.
Well, Elizabeth Allum, Matt Longmire, Deirdre Hadlock, thank you so much for taking the time and introducing me and our viewers to everything that is Bainbridge Performing Arts and all the wonders that are here and the details behind the remodel and your schedule and your philosophy on programming. There's so much more we could talk about, I'm sure, but you've got to come out here and see a show if you haven't. These new seats are wonderful. There's not a bad sight line in the place, the way they angle up, the stadium seating, even where it's a little flatter down below here behind us. There's no bad sight lines, and the sound is great. And more times than not, I think you always have, or do you always have a live orchestra with your musicals?
Yes.
Yes, with musicals, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So come out to see Eurydice that's running on stage here, opening tomorrow night, and then check out BainbridgePerformingArts.org to check out the rest of their schedule this year and next year's schedule. And head out to our site, thesoundonstage.org, for more information on the performing arts around the sound, for our reviews and other interviews. And once again, I'm Greg Heilman with The Sound on Stage. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Get to Know a Theater. Until next time, I will see you at the stage door.